Kim, can you hear me okay?
Can hear you, Doug.
Good, thanks.
I'm having a little trouble with seeing participants, so I'm working
Okay.
on that right now.
Can you hear and see me okay?
I can't see you. I don't have any
I
visuals of.
I can see you,
participants.
Joe.
Okay,
Oh, good.
thank you.
Looks like you're at the bar at Quaddy.
All
Just kidding.
right.
Sorry I last saw you. And there's Aiden. Good morning, Aiden.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Good to see you virtually.
How's our little airport? How's our small airport this morning?
It's good. It's been a very busy week. We had a killer weekend and with traffic and yeah, so everything's going well.
Super. I saw your boss yesterday I had to do a double take. Didn't quite recognize him without the beard.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's told them that the sesquicentennial's over. Or I guess when is everyone shaving their beard?
Yeah, yeah.
Is
I
there
know.
has Mayor shaved his yet,
Yes,
or does he still
yep.
have his?
The mayor has shaved his, as
Ah,
Bob Cope and many of his direct reports have shaved their beard.
so maybe this is just a new look for our director.
Well, good morning, everyone. So glad you could join us this morning. We'll get started here in just a moment, allowing just a couple more people to come online. And if you don't mind, if you would mute and also turn off your videos unless you're speaking, that would be appreciated as well. Thank you. Well, Doug, I know we have a really full schedule for this presentation. Should we go ahead and get started?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. So glad you could join us this morning for the third in our series of 4 tourism talks with Doug Price. We're really happy that you're here today. Throughout the presentation, if you do have any questions, please utilize the chat and we will get to as many as we can. And of course, if we can't answer all the questions, we'll be following up with a follow-up email and we'll get all the answers to you. But with no further ado, I'll go ahead and turn it over to our president and CEO, Mr. Doug Price.
Good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us. Let's get right down to it. I want to talk to everybody this morning about a concept for our industry of travel and tourism, and it's called a shared community value. It's a hot topic in the tourism industry right now, and I want to talk to you a little bit about what it is and what it really means for us here in our area in the Pikes Peak region. Let me first start with some examples of what most of us could relate to of what a shared community value really is. You know, as residents of this community, we think about good education as something that we value as a community. We think about quality healthcare as something that's important. We think about public safety from our first responders is something that's important to us. And we think about utilities and infrastructure for our roads and everything else as values that we share as a community. And you know, anybody who wants to be re-elected in this area would not think about cutting something like a shared community value. So what does a community like ours need as it relates to travel and tourism? In this world that we live in, that we hear the word globalized all the time, every single community has to compete for its share of visibility, its share of attention, and its share of visitors, in our case, and its share of available labor. So travel and tourism organizations, specifically like Visit Colorado Springs, we bring a strategy and an expertise to create awareness and to create positive impressions that our community is both safe and welcoming. So who is it that really needs to understand this concept of tourism as a shared community value besides elected officials? Well, it's our residents. It's everybody who makes up our community. They really need to grasp the fact that we like to say that tourism pays. This little trifold, I hand this out every day to people to let them know about the impact that tourism has on the quality of life that we enjoy here in Colorado Springs and the Pikes Peak region. Some of you may have heard that US News just named us the 6th best city to live in America. So we who live here are really blessed to have tourism as kind of a cornerstone of our economy, a shared community value, if you will. And obviously it's the way our city was founded. This past Saturday, many of you were celebrating with us downtown as our city turned 150 years old for the sesquicentennial. And a lot has been written about General Palmer's vision of founding our city as a health and wellness destination, and how many people came here. Originally, a third of the visitors came here to be cured from both TB, as well as just take advantage of all things, our sunshine and all things that we have outdoors. And today, obviously, we are still benefiting from not only General Palmer's vision, but clearly Spencer Penrose's vision of creating events like the Pikes Peak Hill Climb and the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo and building a hotel like the Broadmoor that we as residents, as well as our visitors, get to enjoy. So I really today, one of the key concepts I really want to kind of have you be thinking about, and you're going to hear more about, is that a job of ours here at Visit COS is to convince residents that tourism is a gift. And it's a gift that both residents and visitors alike benefit from. So we're really hoping that tourism promotion will be valued, and it will continue to be funded throughout the next couple of years, as the city has stood by us these last 2 years during the pandemic and kept us fully funded. We're soon going to be developing a campaign for 2022 to educate elected officials and residents here of the value of tourism to our economy and to our community. So with that, I'm going to now turn the presentation over to our board chair, Susan Davies, who is the executive director of the Trails and Open Space Coalition. Is going to talk a little bit about something very important to all of us here in the region. So Susan, over to you.
Doug, thank you so very much for this opportunity. Can you hear me okay?
Sure can.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Well, welcome everyone. And I thank you for this chance because you are going to have an opportunity to do something substantive for your parks, trails, and open spaces. Let me tell you about it. So you know that we have something called the TOPS program. And arguably, if you want to go to the next slide, the TOPS program is the best thing I would say that best gift that we ever really gave ourselves. It has done such wonderful things. Let's take a look at some of those great things it's done. Over the last 24 years of TOPS, we have purchased 7,169 acres of open space, improved or built at least 66 parks, and constructed at least 50 miles of trails in the last 24 years. So what could we do if we increased and extended our TOPS program? That's the opportunity that we're going to have. So let's take a look. This is what's going to be on the ballot if the City Council on Tuesday approves it. And at this point, we believe that we have council support and we have the mayor's support. Well, it's going to actually increase the TOPS tax from 0.1 to 0.2%. What does that mean? It means that every $10 you spent in the city of Colorado Springs, 1 penny goes into the TOPS fund. Now 2 pennies would go into the TOPS fund. For the average household, it's going to cost you a whopping $1.17 more per month. Per month. I'll say that again, $1.17 more per month. So I don't think you're going to miss the money, but here's what it's going to do. Over the next 20 years, it's going to do some major improvements to parks, trails, and open space. And because they're willing to put something called a maintenance of effort into the ballot language, it means that council promises that if we put more money into TOPS this way, they will not reduce the general fund support for TOPS. So that's huge. It means we're definitely going to see the system getting better. The way the percentages are going to work, a 5% off the total will go toward running the program, essentially, planning and managing it. 25% will fulfill what people asked, and that is taking care of what we have. So that's the maintenance and the operations of the existing parks, trails, and open space. And then the rest of the money, 40% would go for parks, 30% for trails, 30% for open space. So it truly will improve the entire system. Next slide, please. Okay, thanks so much. So I'm sure you're wondering, in addition to how much is it going to cost me, what are we going to get done? So if some of these trails are familiar to you, they should be, because some of these are our primary urban trails, but a lot of them have gaps. A lot of them have maintenance needs. A lot of them, like say the Cottonwood Creek Trail, needs to be continued out past Powers Boulevard. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done on these principal trails and new trails that need to be built. So these are some of the trail projects that would be addressed. Let's look at some of the park projects. Let's go to the next slide. We actually have a list of 15 parks that have not yet been built around the city. And finally, we could look at starting to build some of those neighborhood and community parks. We have the downtown parks. We created some fantastic master plans for them, but don't have the funding to actually build them. This would provide the funding to build them. And then we have existing park sites that need a new playground, need a new irrigation system, need a new sports court. Again, finally, we would have the money to improve the existing parks that we have in our system. Next slide, please. So what I'd ask you to do is to pay attention. If you know a city council member in your district or an at-large council member, shoot them an email and tell them that you're so glad they are supporting the TOPS ballot initiative. This Tuesday, they're going to actually be voting on it to put it on the November ballot. Ballots actually drop October 11th, and then you're going to get a chance to vote for this on November 2nd. So Doug, I'm so delighted that our board of directors with Visit COS has voted to support it. My Trails and Open Space Coalition board has voted to support it. It has the support of the TOPS Working Committee. I am currently in the Parks Board because they had a meeting this morning and they are in support. So it's exciting, the groundswell that we have, and this is the way we're going to get it done. Back to you, Doug.
Thank you, Susan. And as Kim said from the outset, we do want you to use the chat. This very well could be a topic that will prompt some questions. So please put some questions in there for Susan. And as we go through the presentations and at the end, if we can answer the questions, we certainly will. If there's anything left over, we can get back to people. But thank you, Susan, very, very much. Now, I'd like to
My
bring in our
pleasure.
friends from Fly COS. Joe Neville and Aiden Ryan are going to bring us up to date on all the things we've been hearing about over at the airport. So take it away, Joe and Aiden.
Thanks, Doug, for hosting us, and Aiden Ryan is on as well with me, as you mentioned. So we'd like to give you an update on the airport where we're at today and kind of looking forward a little bit what we're seeing as air service really develops a lot here in Colorado Springs. Next slide, please. So again, so you may have seen this before, but we pride ourselves in being Colorado's small airport, differentiating ourselves from the larger airport in the state up north. Colorado Springs is a small, friendly airport. It's neighborly, comfortable, helpful, and it's big. So we have a lot of options here at Colorado Springs, which I kind of want to walk you through and kind of what's coming up next at the airport. Next slide. So today we are growing. If you haven't noticed, we have 5 major airlines. We have 1 new airline this year, Southwest. We serve 9 cities nonstop, 12 airports nonstop, and we have one-stop service coast to coast and worldwide. 40 departures a day this summer. That's up from 34 in 2019 pre-COVID. And we have over 4,600 departing seats per day. That's up a whopping 45% versus 2019. And on top of that, we have more mainline and 2-cabin aircraft, which customers prefer, as opposed to the smaller 50-seat regional jets that you may be familiar with. Next, please. Again, 9 cities, 12 airports nationwide, and you can see that this gives you easy access coast to coast and worldwide. We serve some of the largest hubs in the US. Our Delta Atlanta and Frontier Orlando service has been suspended since COVID started, and we're hoping that those should be reinstated either by this winter or by early next spring. In addition to that, Southwest has announced limited Houston Hobby and San Antonio service on select dates in November and December. So we're pretty excited about that as well. Next slide. And so what does service to these big hubs give you? From Colorado Springs, you can fly nonstop to the destinations I mentioned, and this gives you one-stop service coast to coast and worldwide, virtually anywhere in the world or in the US with one stop on 5 major airlines. That's really the power of airline networks here at Colorado Springs. So imagine being able to fly this winter one stop to Aruba from Colorado Springs or some of the other Caribbean destinations, as you can see on the map. Next, please. So we are seeing big increases in enplanements this year compared to 2019. For Q3 2021, we are seeing between 32 and 35% increase in traffic over 2019 based on TSA throughputs we're currently seeing. This indicates the big capacity increases we're seeing at COS are paying off in terms of increased passengers using the airport, including inbound visitors to Colorado Springs. And so far this summer, we're seeing load factors in the 80 to 85% range. So some really big successes here with the increased capacity at the airport. Next, please. So Southwest service is a really big deal here at Colorado Springs and for Southern Colorado. Not just a few flights, but Southwest has invested in 13 daily flights in 5 nonstop markets with easy connections coast to coast. Southwest now represents about 40% of Colorado Springs airport seats, with nonstops to Chicago Midway, Dallas Love Field, Denver, which provides easy connections coast to coast, Las Vegas, and Phoenix. And as I mentioned, nonstops to Houston Hobby and San Antonio on select dates in November and December this year. And again, all Boeing 737 large aircraft. Southwest serves 5 of their busiest airports nonstop from Colorado Springs, with over 1,000 flights per day from these airports, as you can see in the bright blue bars. These cities offer a lot of connections for Colorado Springs customers, giving Colorado Springs easy access coast to coast. Some of the next largest airports that we're looking at for potential service with Southwest include Baltimore, Houston Hobby, Nashville, Orlando, and Oakland. And we're working with Southwest as they watch these markets closely. Next. So Southwest's big entry into Colorado Springs has had a great side effect too on the rest of the industry. As the tide rises, it lifts all ships, so to speak. After Southwest's announcement, both American and United increased their service at Colorado Springs as well. American increased its seats over 23% versus 2019 and added additional Dallas-Fort Worth service and is increasing aircraft size, while United increased seats per departure by over 30% versus 2019, adding more mainline and 2-cabin regional jets, as well as reinstating its Los Angeles nonstop service. Next, please. And one of the other big effects of increased service at Colorado Springs is fares. Everybody cares about fares. And we are seeing more competitive fares at Colorado Springs versus Denver compared to prior to Southwest entry. In fact, we monitor fares on a regular basis, and the difference in fares between Colorado Springs and Denver appears to be smaller now, as you can see in some of the nonstop markets shown on this slide. This is very important because fares are one of the biggest reasons customers have previously used Denver Airport over Colorado Springs. And with competitive fares, we can build air traffic right here in Colorado Springs and bring more traffic into Colorado Springs and benefit the local community. Next, please. Looking forward, we are focused on multiple market opportunities beyond what we have today as we work with our airline partners. Washington, D.C., the most requested market in Colorado Springs, mostly due to military and government-related traffic. Seattle, which is one of the top unserved markets from Colorado Springs. Charlotte, a really huge Southeast hub that has the potential to connect us to numerous Southeast markets similar to Atlanta. And the San Francisco Bay Area, Orlando, and Atlanta, also important markets that we hope to see service to in the near future. Second, I'm looking forward. So our goal is to increase our service further at Colorado Springs by building on some of our market's key attributes, keeping our costs low to attract more airline service, using our strong growing population base to drive additional air service demand and attract service, benefiting from a growing inbound leisure market. As you're aware, we're currently at 23 million visitors and growing, and leveraging our strong military defense-oriented market and discretionary travel it creates. And you may be familiar with another attribute we have here at the airport, Peak Innovation Park, located on the airport property. It currently occupies over 900 acres. This development helps keep Colorado Springs costs low, which helps attract more air service. And development here at Colorado Springs at Peak Innovation creates jobs and air travel demand close to the airport, a win-win for the entire community. And then lastly, in closing, there are a lot of reasons to love Colorado Springs Airport. One, we've talked about new Southwest airline service. Who's not excited about that? More air service by all of our airlines, including more flights and larger full-size aircraft. Easy airport experience. My favorite is that I can be at the gate in 10 minutes, easy getting through TSA, or when the plane parks coming home, at home within 30 minutes after the flight lands. And last, just an all-around easy, friendly, simple airport to use without the hassle of driving to Denver. And with continued strong support from the community and yourselves, Colorado Springs Airport will continue to grow and provide even more service to the community. So, we want more and more Colorado Springs residents and visitors coming into Colorado Springs to use the airport. So thank you so much for your help in helping make that a reality.
Thank you, Joe. And you know, I guess one of the things that I would ask people to think about here in the chat, if you can share with the group how your experiences have been. Have you gone out to fly out of COS this year? How has it been? What's it like compared to perhaps what you've done in the past in going up to Denver, where, you know, Aiden, maybe you could address this because I know you've been a part of from a marketing standpoint, but one of the questions I hear is that how happy is Southwest with the startup service? And so, you know, maybe you can talk a little bit about the efforts you've been doing and what you're hearing from Southwest Airlines.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Doug. So Southwest has been very happy with everything that we have been doing at the airport, but as well as with the community. So there are a group of us from the EDC, Visit COS, and the airport who have kind of band together into really promoting Southwest within the community and working with them really on a weekly basis. And they've said in numerous calls that we are one of the only communities that has ever been this engaged in their launch of service, as well continuing to make those efforts, engage with them on a weekly basis, engage with the community, and continue to promote their message and their service and making this a success. We have seen phenomenal numbers, as well as we're still in a pandemic and we are hitting metrics that we're very happy about. And that takes all of your community members. It takes our tourism efforts. It takes all of us to make this is a success, as we have a large airport right up the road. And a lot of our community, as well as our visitors, are they're used to going to Denver. They're used to taking that drive. They're kind of like, I'm used to just doing direct flights. Not sure about that connection. What's the reliability? And we, time after time, have been really pushing that message of reliability, what our airport has to offer. Try us once and see what happens. And everyone who tries us once is like, you know what? I can't even go to Denver if anymore, because it's just such a difference. And welcoming our visitors in. So when you do have friends and family and they're looking at ticket prices and they're used to going to Denver, have them try Colorado Springs. For one, it's a lot more time for you if you're picking them up. Our rental car rates are a lot less than Denver as well. And so that's a benefit. And you're closer to the fun. So if you're in the tourism field of activities and adventure, anyone who flies into here, I mean, it's saving them a 2-hour plus drive in order to come to our community. Plus, it keeps our dollars here. I mean, we do receive funding from LART as well, and anyone who comes from outside into our community, that replenishes our LART fund, which helps our entire tourism industry as a whole to continue to promote our tourism and people to come into Colorado Springs.
Great. Aiden, Joe, thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As questions come up, it looks like Carol Hildebrand wants to get to Fort Lauderdale. So as soon as you can get maybe get a charter for Carol, and he can take people from the Cliff House with him down there. But thank you both for all that great information. We appreciate it, and we appreciate the partnership.
Thanks, Doug.
Pleasure. All right. We're going to talk a little bit now about meetings and incentives. You may be aware of this, but the state of Colorado has put together a $10 million meeting and events incentive that acts as a cash rebate on select hard costs of doing a meeting. The range of the cost rebate that would go back to the event organizer, the minimum is $3,500. Up to a maximum of $100,000. That's the range. And it's for meetings that are newly booked meetings from July of this year through December of next year. And the whole idea behind this incentive is to not have meetings go to neighboring states. We really want to do our best to keep meetings here. And the Colorado Tourism Office is working with Metro State University up in Denver to execute this program. We've got more information on our Visit COS website meetings page, And I would encourage anybody in the hotels, if you're not aware of this incentive, you should make yourself aware of it because it becomes a kind of a tool in the toolbox for people to use. So we want to make you aware of that. The next thing I want to talk a little bit about is how are we doing? How are we performing through this year? And we've got LART figures that have come in through May. And of course, you know, last April and May, we still had hotels that were closed. So through May of this year, the fact that our LART collections were up over 300% over 2020 isn't a big surprise. But through May of over 2019, we're up almost 7%. So our year-to-date collections are up 81% over 2020, but we're still trailing where we were in 2019 by almost 8%. And again, this is just through May. We don't have June and July figures yet, but we're going to talk that's strictly just LART. But now if we go to the next slide and take a look at what we're getting from occupancy. The STR report in June had the city occupancy rate at 84.4%. And that had us third in the country at that percentage. We were behind just the Florida Keys and the Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge area of Tennessee. It's always tough to compete with Dolly Parton. But we are, you know, we absolutely are doing, getting more than our fair share compared to the rest of the country. And the forecast for August and September looks very strong. Those of you who work in hotels, you know that the demand for group meetings and events really got backloaded into the second half of 2021. So we are looking very strong for this rest of this summer and through September and the fall. And our average daily rate for the city is at $151, which is a record high. And so we really are performing well from a hotel occupancy standpoint. Next slide, please. Longwood's research so far, we've only got the 2019 and 2020 figures, but we do know that in 2019, we had over 22 million visitors. 2020, we only went down 6%. There are a lot of destinations that wish they'd only seen a 6% drop in visitors throughout the pandemic. Our overnight visits for 2020 were down about 10% compared to 2019. And our day visitors were down just 3% in 2020 to 2019. Next slide. Okay, the next slide for spending shows that, again, spending is down a little bit in 2020 compared to 2019, but overall, we're still pretty competitive. I can tell you that today, Longwoods is going to release their data for the entire state of Colorado. So we'll see how we compare to the state a little later today. So that's where we are from a performance standpoint. Next thing, just to remind everybody, some of the things going on in the destination. We had a big birthday party on Saturday where our city turned 150. And here's a picture of speed skater Bonnie Blair, who was in town with one of her raving fans. And you know, the event, I hope that many of you got a chance to go down and see it. The 4 days of events and the parade through time on Saturday, Olympian, Paralympian appearances. It was the first time that we had activated the Vermaho boulevard, if you will, venue space for an event, and it was just fabulous. The Olympic and Paralympic Museum was setting record attendance each day over the 4 days. And we've got a short video that we can show you of some of the festivities. So Kim, will you go ahead and play the video? Thank you. As my friend Laura Newman likes to say, goosebumps. That's what it was on Saturday. It was just a really, really special day. And I want to thank everybody who might on this call who might have been a part of putting that together in some way, shape, or form. It was a day full of civic pride here for Olympic City, USA. So I think everybody on the call knows that the COG has reopened. Interesting about the timing of June 30th that it reopened. It was exactly 130 years to the day that the COG took its first trek up Pikes Peak. The project took 3.5 years. It was a $100 million project to complete. And new track, new and refurbished cars. The depot in Manitou has been completely updated, and it really is something special for us to be able to celebrate. And of course, the same day, June 30th, was the grand opening for the new Pikes Peak Summit Visitor Center. If you haven't been up, I really encourage you to go up. The building is sustainable. It will be an award-winning building for us from a sustainability standpoint once it is totally completed. The gift shop, the retail area, and the food and beverage has been greatly expanded. There's some, the donuts are still fun, but now they have toppings. They have different types of donuts that you can get. And they expect the exterior construction and parking lot to be completed in the late fall of this year. So until then, most cars still need to park in Devil's Playground and take the free shuttle up the rest of the way. But really, really a super addition to America's Mountain. We've opened a few new venues. I hope you've had a chance to either go to a soccer game or to a concert, or they had lacrosse at Widener Field over the weekend. What a great buzz that is creating in downtown for a variety of different events. It's available for people to rent that want to do events and dinners and things in some of the private catering space there. And this December, they're going to actually host both the men and women's Division II National Soccer Championships, December 9 to 11 at Widener Field. So very, very cool event coming our way. And then to the right there, the Robeson Arena on campus at Colorado College. It is going to open for hockey on October the 2nd. They're going to have, it's about 90% completed right now on the indoors, inside and outside. The new home of CC Tiger Hockey. It'll be the first time since 1939 that CC will be able to play college hockey on campus. There's a parking structure that is attached to the building, and it can host both ice and non-ice events. So 2 new spectacular venues that are part of City for Champions projects. All right, next. Let's let's talk about COVID for a minute. And, you know, when we set the date to do this tourism talk a couple of weeks ago, this was always going to be part of our agenda. And yet it's taken on some new meaning for everybody right now. And let me be clear about a couple of things. I've had discussions as recently as this morning in making sure that as we talk about this, and if I can answer questions, I will for you this morning. But there is a pandemic, and the pandemic truly right now is spreading amongst the unvaccinated people throughout not only the United States, but really around the globe. And I have asked El Paso County Public Health. I've talked to the mayor. I've talked to school officials, and folks, it does not appear that there's going to be any sort of a mask mandate that's going to come out. That it just doesn't appear. It's going to be people making their own decisions on whether they choose to wear a mask. But at the state level and at the county level, they are not expecting there to be a mask mandate. Now, clearly, we've heard that our individual organizations are actually making some decisions about vaccinations. And, you know, the city of Denver is making vaccinations mandatory for all their employees. UC Health has made it mandatory. There are certain, I think that the federal government and the Department of Defense are going to be making vaccinations mandatory. But that is really up to companies and organizations to look at it as it relates to vaccinations. We're in El Paso County right now. We're about 56% of eligible people have been fully vaccinated. That's about 344,000 people in the county have been fully vaccinated. We are waiting, like everybody, to see when the FDA is going to actually approve this it's so far been on an emergency basis, but to actually approve one of these vaccines, and we're hearing the latest as it might be September. But if we can answer some questions for you about this, we will. But I do not see masks being mandated again or social distancing being mandated again, because the difference between now and really a year ago are the vaccines. So the push really is for people to get vaccinated. So with that, I guess I have a poll question I'd like to ask, and that is, what changes did you make during the pandemic that you plan to keep long-term in your business? There are a lot of people have had to make adjustments. We've heard that some changes might be here to stay, others might not, but we would like to know if you'd be willing to share what changes you made during the pandemic that you plan to keep long-term. And as you put those in, we'll give you, 30, 45 seconds to put that in. And then we've got one more polling question, but please type some things in the chat for us if you would.
Examples can include things like the Manitou Incline Reservation System. That has worked well, modulating how many people are on the trail at one time. So that's something that they plan to keep in effect. But let us know if you have anything else that you've done.
Great. And the other question that we'd like to get some feedback from polling on is, what have you done to attract and retain employees in your business? We know that everybody is hurting in this area, But if there's been something that has been particularly successful for you to either retain or attract employees, if you would put it in the chat, it would be, to say the least, we're all in this one together. So we'd really like to get some feedback from people on this one.
Great, thanks, Doug. And while people are answering that question, I'll just read some things from the chat. So for instance,
Wonderful.
work from home policy. So some organizations are allowing people to work from home, maybe not all day, every day, but certainly more than before the pandemic. Some are going to continue offering virtual education programming. And this Zoom session is one example of that, is even after the pandemic, this is a convenient way for people to get together for this update. Sanitation precautions, a lot of there's at least one organization is going to keep doing that. Remote live course offerings from Pikes Peak Community College. Thank you, Dr. Crawford. Heated covered outdoor brewery seating. I think a lot of breweries and restaurants might be doing that. People enjoy it. And from a hotel, would like to keep daily housekeeping service as an opt-in service. And I know that many people don't feel that they need it every day, and that can probably save a lot of costs and be eco-friendly as well. Don't see anything yet for question number 2.
Okay, but that's all right, Amy. We've got some time because I'm gonna pass it over to you for people to hear some more about destination promotion. But we're obviously gonna leave the chat open. And if you've got anything that you could share that could be helpful from either an attraction or retention standpoint, we would appreciate it. And Amy, over to you on destination promotion.
Terrific. Thanks, Doug. So just recently, we had the folks from Samantha Brown. So Samantha Brown herself, her family, and her crew were in town for 5 days to do a 4-day shoot. And we have purchased, Visit Colorado Springs has purchased an episode on Samantha Brown's Places to Love, which will air in January or February of 2022. So we went to the Colorado Wolf and Wildlife Center, Atrevida Brewing Company, Garden of the Gods Park, the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Museum, Cog Railway and Summit Visitor Center, Lucky Dumplings Restaurant, Manitou Springs and their Colorado Ski Furniture Company, and the Broadmoor. So they got a lot of great footage. They really love to connect to a destination through the people. So each of these locations had somebody to act as like her guide. And she really, has a great curiosity about destinations. She had done her homework, and I expect it to be a really great episode. And we're in the process of planning a PR campaign and watch party leading up to that first airing. And then after it airs on PBS, it'll always be available on her show. Next slide, please. We're going to show you some wonderful creative and some of our strategies from our current and upcoming advertising campaigns. So Crafts and Drafts has been out for a while. This is the 4th year it has been on a digital passport. You can find that link on visitcos.com. It's a free passport to download. And at over 20 locations, you can get buy one, get one deals and other discounts on beer, wine, spirits, and coffee. And it's very popular. When you go to 8 different places, you earn a free t-shirt. And we encourage you all to do it and just tell your guests about it as well. And this was a special photo shoot we did with some young social media influencers from around the region, and really infused a lot of great diversity into our photo library. And next, we do have the Ultimate Pikes Peak Challenge. And this is also a free passport that you can put a link to on your home screen. And it's all the fun things that you can do on Pikes Peak and in Manitou Springs. And this campaign was funded by a grant from the Colorado Tourism Office and done in conjunction, in partnership with the Manitou Springs Chamber and Visitor Center. you'll see these beautiful embroidered badges designed by Melissa Williams here at BCOS, with advertising done under her direction by Design Rangers. And you have 25 different challenges, like ride the cog to the summit, have a donut at the top, take a picture by the Bigfoot sign, stay in Manitou Springs, shop, eat at a restaurant in Manitou Springs. So just 25 fun different things, and depending on how many you do and checking in on the passport, you can earn these beautiful embroidered badges. So again, I encourage everyone to download that and take part in it as well. Just on Monday, next slide please, we launched the Olympic City USA campaign. We've been doing that for 5 years now. And in the past, we've been doing more of a brand awareness so that people connect the name Colorado Springs with the Olympic City USA moniker that we have. This year, now that we're out of the thick of the pandemic and the museum is having a what they call a Colorado grand opening, and they're going to be expanding that to a national campaign, we have partnered with the museum and their agency to use their creative and then send the traffic to our website. So it's a much more of a retail, like come here, go to the museum, and we know that when they're here, they will stay in our lodging, eat in our restaurants, go to our other attractions. But so far this is out of the gate doing really well. I think as of a day or two ago, even though it just launched on Monday, we already had well over a million impressions. And then we've got we're wrapping up our late spring, early summer campaign and just transitioning into a late summer, fall campaign. And both have the room to, and then a wonderful verb here, room to unwind, room to triumph. And we still want to play on people's desire to be outdoors, to feel safe, to enjoy our beautiful trails, parks, and open spaces. And we've put a lot more money into this campaign. We put a little bit less into the spring and summer since we were ramping up on vaccinations. And now that people really are traveling in force, we wanted to keep our momentum going. And normally our fall campaign is very short. It relates only to the leaves, and we spend about $30,000. This year, it's a broader content focus, and we also are spending close to $150,000 in the fall. So we really want to keep the momentum going. And then on the next slide is just a few more examples of that creative. We really have wonderful assets to highlight the fall, but that's where we are. Happy to answer any questions you have. We will be sharing this presentation afterwards. And now I'm going to turn it back to Doug. We've got some personnel news.
Thank you very much, Amy. Nice job. It's exciting to see all that happening. So in order to make all this work, there's some faces that are changing, and at the state level, Tim Wolf has been named the new CTO director. And some of you may remember Tim from his time here. He was the general manager at the Antlers Hotel, and he was back in like 2012, 2013, and 14. And he also was recently at the Brown Palace in Denver. So Tim has a good hotel background. He has a lot of knowledge in Colorado, and he's going to start that position in late August. We also have had there's some openings, there's some searches going on. There is a CEO search over at the Chamber and EDC for Dirk Draper's position. Dirk is going to retire at the end of this year. And so that is underway. And also the Sports Corp is doing a search for a CEO right now that is posted for another couple of weeks. And they hope to fulfill that position sometime later this fall. And at Visit Colorado Springs, we've had a few promotions. One, Sarah Price has become a sales manager. She had been a group sales coordinator, and Sarah's been here 5 years, and Sarah has moved in to a sales manager role. We have hired Claudia Dolik, who is going to be the new sales coordinator, to step into Sarah's role. Claudia will be starting in a couple of weeks. Sheridan Powell has been part-time since April, and she is now a full-time communications coordinator for us. And she came on board to help us during the maternity leave for Alexia, and Alexia Veneration will be back with us the 23rd of August. So we'll be excited to be fully staffed there, because we've also hired Jack Ebert into our marketing position. And Jack, he's a new marketing coordinator. He had been working with Becky Lineweber as an intern over at PPORA. So Becky recommended Jack for that position. So we've made some new hires, and we're really excited as we get into the fall. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kim to kind of do a little recap on some upcoming events, and let her take it away. Thank you, Kim.
Sorry, I'm trying to get my camera back on. Hold on just a second. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I just wanted to go over a few things that are coming up soon. On September 1st, we're going to be doing a social media roundtable. This will actually be an in-person event, which we're really excited about, and will be just down the street from us here at the Visitor Center at the Warehouse Restaurant. We'll be inviting all of our partners and folks in the community that are experts or not even experts in social media to come together and discuss tried and true ways to promote your businesses to the tourism industry. So I hope you all could come to that. There's no cost involved. And please just go to our events page on our website and sign up. On September 23rd, we'll be doing our second in-person mixer. And this will be actually co-hosted by the Pikes Peak Lodging Association. So we're really looking forward to doing a joint event, and this will take place at the Garden of the Gods Trading Post. It's going to be really fun. Of course, we'll have some great food and a fun activity for you all to get to know each other and do some networking. So we'll see you there. It is up on our website as well, and you can sign up for that anytime. And of course, our big celebration of the year, we're actually going to be doing it, as far as we know, this year on October 14th. It's our Tourism Awards celebration, and it will take place at the Antlers Hotel. And our theme this year is celebrating tourism superheroes. So we'll be sending out the nominations here very shortly by next week. And please nominate your colleagues. You can nominate yourself. We really want to celebrate tourism coming back to our region, and what an incredibly great job everybody has been doing since this whole pandemic started. And moving forward, we want to, of course, support all of our partners and thank them for all their hard work. December 2nd will be another tourism talk with Doug, and then we'll end the year on December 10th with our final mixer. This will be at City Rock, and it's called the Jingle Bell Rock Mixer. So get ready to have some fun and celebrate the holidays. And so that's it for this year. And any final words, Doug, before we close off? Or if y'all have any questions, of course, you guys could please put them in the chat and we'll get to them. We still have a few minutes left.
You know, Kim, I think what I would probably wrap with is Pikes Peak Community College has their hospitality tourism program going this fall. Will mark the 1-year anniversary of that program, and it is it's difficult to launch a new program, particularly with the pandemic, and that they had to do things virtually. And I just want to remind people that that if you're not familiar with that program, it's a great program, and I would want you to take a look at it. Think of either for yourself or for coworkers that you have that you think are career minded, that could really benefit from that kind of a program. I would just encourage you to take a look at it and use it even as a retention tool for employees. That if you see some promise in somebody who you really think maybe you've got what it takes to be a professional in this career field, encourage them, and it may be something that from a tuition reimbursement program you can take a look at. But we want to thank Pikes Peak for helping us. Dr. Herman Crawford has been on the call today. Herman, thanks for all you're doing. And we're right with you, and we'll do what we can to support your program. And Kim, I'll let you wrap it with a thanks.
All right. Again, thanks everybody for your time today. We so sincerely appreciate your support and your partnership, and we're here for you. So if there's anything we can do to help, please don't hesitate to reach out, either by email or phone call. And we'd love to get together in person if that feels right to you. So please continue with your questions. If you have any, we'll wrap this up here in just a moment. But we will follow up again with an email, and we'll make sure all the questions get answered that way as well. So again, thanks.
I don't see any questions, but there is a link to the hospitality program at Pikes Peak Community College, and we'll include that in the wrap-up email as well.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.